The Cats scratch and claw through the first half at Autzen, but with another Pac-10 title on the line, the Ducks break open the game and bury Arizona. The Beavers go down to the farm still clinging to hopes of going to a bowl, but the Cardinals strikes on the opening possession and never lets up on the gas pedal. Across the bay, the Bears and Dogs battled in the rain, and this one went the full 60. The Sun Devils didn't appear to be under the effects of a turkey coma the day after Thanksgiving and all but ended the Bruins season. And if it's Thanksgiving weekend, it must be USC Notre Dame. The final week of college football is here, and so is this edition of Inside the Pac.
Back to the 1-yard line. Turned her to the 10, middle of the field, trying to go outside. Ball's loose. I think Oregon's got it. There were no Wildcats there when the ball was circled up. Ducks say they have it. Huge. Yep. Oregon's got the football.
Oregon beats Arizona for the third straight season, is 11-0 for the first time in school history, and now just one win away from their first ever trip to the national title game. As we get things going, the latest AP poll in Oregon still number one. The Ducks lose a first-place vote, but slightly increased their overall lead over Auburn. Stanford up 2 to number 5. Boise State drops to 9th after losing in Reno. Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pac. I am Tom Ward. He is Nick Krupke, and our special guest this week, former Oregon offensive lineman Todd Kaanapu. TK, thanks for joining us this week.
Always a pleasure. Loving the new digs.
Oh, yeah, thanks for being here. The Ducks are once again conference champs, but there were no roses at Autzen Stadium on Friday night, and really they've had bigger things on their minds since the Rose Bowl loss to Ohio State last year.
It's a new situation in Oregon football with the fact that consolation is now a Rose Bowl berth. Arizona is the goal, and national championship is the big ring that we're looking for.
Well, Glendale, Arizona, with the BCS on the line, with possibly Auburn waiting there should they win out in the SEC. But talking about Oregon, LaMichael James, another workman-like performance in this game. I mean, people may say, oh, he didn't put up 250 yards and 3 touchdowns, but it was 126 yards rushing. It was 4.5 yards per carry. It was 2 scores. And overall grinding away on that Arizona defense.
Well, it was really good to see Oregon get back to the first half, made some mistakes. Second half, they're just coming straight at him, pounding the football with LaMichael. LaMichael is a legitimate Heisman candidate. You have to stop him, so Arizona concentrated their efforts on LaMichael.
And then when they needed the defense and special teams to step up, they did with the 2 turnovers.
Defense has been amazing all year. They had 10 points in the second half. It's a workman-type situation with those guys. They just win the day. Kudos to the coaching staff and the players for just focusing on each game each week.
All right, Nick, in Stanford this last weekend, we saw the Beavers go down there, and we kind of had a hunch that they were a team that was sort of maybe ripe for the picking as far as the Cardinal was concerned, and that's what it turned out to be.
You know, it's one of these things where the Beavers are kind of like the majority of teams in the NFL. Week to week, you don't know exactly what you're going to get. You come off a pretty dominating win over USC. Then you go down there and you kind of look back to where you looked like in the tough games before with UCLA and whatnot. And here they sit now, worst loss since 2005. Now you have to win the Civil War. And they had such lofty hopes, you know, coming in preseason top 25, first time in a long time ever, really. And now you're looking at way out of the top 25 and now may not go to a bowl game unless you can win that Civil War.
Well, speaking of the Civil War, ESPN's Game Day says they are coming to Corvallis and will be there for the 114th meeting between the Ducks and the Beavers. But let's get things going here. And with a win over Arizona, the Oregon football team could capture back-to-back Pac-10 titles for the first time in nearly a decade. But nary a rose was spotted anywhere in Autzen on Friday night, as Oregon really is focused on the bigger game in Glendale, Arizona. The Ducks out for win number 11 against those always tough Wildcats from Arizona in front of a crowd of 59,990. 23 seniors honored for their last game at Autzen, including the late Todd Doxey and the injured Nate Costa. He got a heartwarming reception there. After a Darren Thomas interception to open the game, the Wildcats go on a 16-play drive capped off by Nick Foles. 8 yards to Jaron Kreiner make it 7-0 Oregon. The Ducks answer, though. Thomas downfield to the tight end, David Paulson, 38-yarder. Looked like we were in for another Wild West shootout as the game is tied at 7 apiece. Next play, though, Foles finds Kreiner again, this time with no one in the defensive backfield. Longest play from scrimmage for Arizona this season, 85 yards. A career-high 448 yards passing for Foles as Kreiner tries to hand the ball to the official before he even scores. It's 14-7 Zona. Start of the second, another equalizer. DT to the senior from Paradise, California. Jeff, please mail me a touchdown. I want one. 6-yard TD, 12th of the season for Mail, 14 all. But miscues left the Ducks trailing at the half. A snap over the head of Alejandro Maldonado and out of the back of the end zone goes for a safety. Cats up 19-14 to the break. Third quarter, Ducks get their longest play from scrimmage this year. Lavoisier Tuane out with the shoulder injury, so the true freshman Josh Huff gets the start, takes the pitch, and picks his way through the line and turns on the Jets. 85-yarder, third longest touchdown in Autzen history. Two-point conversion, no good. Make it 20-19 Ducks. Later in the third, after the Wildcats called for offsides during a missed field goal attempt, DT sells the fake and cashes in for 6. 20-yard score to cap a 19-play, 99-yard drive. 27-19 now. Final minute of the third. Oregon strikes again. DT to the senior from Denver. Go DJ. There's my DJ. Davis hauls it in. The 6-yard score. Ducks taking control at 34-22. To the fourth. Oregon starting to pile up the points. First, LaMike over the right side on a 13-yard burst as he rolls in. That makes it 41-22 after the PAT. Ensuing kickoff. The Cats on the return, and they cough it up at the 10-yard line, and Oregon piles on the football. Under the pile, the Ducks recover, and they take over at the Arizona 8-yard line as Scott Grady comes out with it. And 2 plays later, the Ducks hit pay dirt again, and it's LaMike again. Second TD of the game from the one, 48-22. No double overtime drama this time around as Oregon can celebrate another Pac-10 title. 48-29, second 11-win season in school history. Last done in 2001. The Ducks 555 points this season, a record. They had 545 in 2008, and that was in 13 games.
Yeah, so 2 more scores for LaMike, 19 on the year, a single season record for Oregon. He also set a new scoring mark for the Ducks with 120 points. And you mentioned Mail, 24 career touchdowns, now tied for the most by a Duck wideout. His 12 TDs this season is a record. The Ducks now, since 2008 in the Pac-10, 23-3.
Well, TK, Oregon piled up 537 yards in this game. Arizona had 506, but of Oregon's 537, 389 of that came on the ground, and particularly when we talk about that 99-yard drive, 19 plays on that drive. 11 of them were running the football, grinding away on that Arizona defense.
And I think traditionally we've rested our hat on being an efficient running game. You have LaMichael, you have Darren Thomas, you have Kenyon Barner. But let's talk about the big dogs. Let's talk about Kaiser. Let's talk about Thran, Asper, York, and Jordan Holmes playing his last game in Autzen Stadium. They are very efficient in what they do. They're very physical at the point of attack, and they get after people, and that's why we have success in the running game.
Yeah, and the number speaks for itself. 6.8 yards per rush in this game. LaMike at 4.5, but then you factor in Kenyon and Darren with 20-plus yard runs in this game. That's where you get the number.
That's 2 plays and a first down. So they obviously move the ball well, and they're one of the most prolific offenses in the history of the program and in the country.
Well, as we look ahead now at the Civil War, I mean, just your thoughts. I mean, because you've played in a few of these games.
And back in the old days, when they used to call it Parker,
right?
We got some things thrown at us when we were walking down the hill, but it'll be an intense game. We usually throw out the records, throw out all the stats. I think OSU will come to play. I think Coach Riley will get them prepared. I'm a Duck, tried and true. I think we're going to go in and get things going in the first half, and we're going to pound them in the second and go on to a Duck victory and take ourselves to the national championship, #1.
Well, as we've seen this year, I think one thing has stood true, particularly with Oregon State. Past results do not necessarily guarantee future results in this game, particularly the Civil War, right?
It'll be a dogfight. They're going to come after it. Very talented team at the beginning of the year with the Beavers. They've had a lot of injuries. The best thing about Oregon, whoever we need to step up, steps up. That's the type of program we become. LT goes down, Huff steps up, people are playing their role, and they really are focused on the big goal, which is the national championship.